We were encamped in our different biological families in some ways because of the stress and because not knowing how to deal with it. And I'll stay with mine and you stay with yours and we'll get through it. Well, we didn't know how we were going to get through it, but we were just trying the best we could at the time. And it was not going so well.
Welcome to the Blended Family Coaching Show, where you'll discover how to move your step family from just surviving to truly thriving.
Grab your headphones and listen in as we share practical, real-life strategies for building healthy bonds,
Understanding the kids' perspective,
romance and partnership,
parenting with great teamwork.
and yes, even co-parenting with a difficult ex.
We're Mike and Kim Anderson, and we believe with the right tools, every step couple can overcome the common challenges of step family life.
Join us for authentic and sometimes comical conversations to discover how you can lead your family with confidence and create the future you really want.
Well, hey, welcome to episode 80 of the Blended Family Coaching Show. We are so glad you're here. And as always, we would love to hear from you. If you want to leave us a rating or a review, we would really appreciate it. And if you want to make a suggestion for maybe a topic at some point, go to mikeandkimcoaching.com/share, and we would love to hear from you and consider how we might be able to answer questions or use your topic for the show.
Definitely.
So anyway, we would love to hear from you. You know, all through the month of February, we've been focused on marriage, right? It's Valentine's Day, so why not, right?
It's been awesome.
And today is going to be a really fun episode about marriage because we're going to be chatting with some special guests who've been investing in their blended family marriage. Now, we've had the privilege of supporting our friends Wes and Jenny for several months through our blended family coaching program. And they've been really working hard at using the practical tools that they've been discovering to find unity even in the midst of the craziness of blending their family that just happens to include 10 kids, by the way. You'll hear more about that in just a little bit from Wes and Jenny.
Yeah. You know, it's really cool when we get to invite other couples on the show who are in the trenches, right? Just like you are navigating all the challenges that come with blended families. And our hope is that their story will not only encourage you today, but also inspire you to take a next step in your journey.
That's really good. You know, we've discovered over the years that finding success in blended family life really starts with investing in your couple relationship. And I'm not really sure if many of us start out thinking that our marital relationship is setting the tone for relational bonding for the rest of the family. But the truth is the health of your relationship will greatly impact all the other relationships in the home and really across households, either positively or negatively.
That's right. You know, step family expert Ron Deal says this: your loving marriage encourages the members of your family to eventually love one another. Think about it. They wouldn't be a family at all if you didn't fall in love as a couple in the first place. And without a committed, happy, ongoing relationship, children and extended family lose their motivation to be a family to one another. Your coupleness is the first and last motivator for their familyness.
Wow.
Yeah. And Ron goes on to report that a number of studies show that the relational ties between stepfamily members correlates with the couple's relationship.
Yeah, I bet that's a direct correlation. Absolutely. So the reality is that if you want your family to successfully blend and build loving bonds, then you've got to be dedicated to nurturing and investing in your marriage. It really is the relational foundation of your home. And that's one of the reasons why we've been focused on marriage this month. And it's why we've asked our friends and clients, Wes and Jenny, to come and share their story with us.
Yay.
All right, so let's get started with the discussion. Today, we are ecstatic to have some friends and a couple that we've gotten to work with for about 6 or 7 months now. Wes and Jenny from Safford, Arizona. Between the two of them, they have 10 kids. So you thought your house was crazy. No, these guys, you got nothing on these guys. And they have Copper the cat and Wrangler the dog and 6 chickens running around too. Imagine that. That's awesome. Wes and Jenny, welcome. We are so glad that you guys are here.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
You know, we've been talking a lot about marriage through the month of February. And we've talked about it from multiple different angles. And one of the things that we talked about when we said, hey, why don't you guys come on the show and share a little bit, was this maybe change or this experience that you've had over the last 6 or 7 months in your marriage. And we're hoping that your story is just going to bring some hope and some help to other people as well. And we'd just love to have a conversation around that. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Great.
I'm excited.
Cool. All right.
So one of the things, Wes and Jenny, that we were hoping that you could talk about to some of our listeners is explain what your relationship was like before you reached out for help, before you engaged in this coaching process. How are things going?
I think one of the things, as I think about that, to give a little bit of background, was before we reached out for help, at that time in the world was right around the beginning of COVID. And
oh, yeah.
So with that pandemic, that brought a whole lot more stress just in and of itself, let alone the stress of, 10 kids and trying to blend our family together, not knowing exactly what we were doing. And then, because of the pandemic, our kids started having to be schooled in home. Yeah. So that brought even more stress to life at that time. We weren't really getting out very much, so the kids were cooped up inside. We have, decent property, and they were able to go outside, but still not going anywhere beside, especially for the teenagers. They were getting stir crazy because of that, not being able to see friends very much. And then the summer hit and they were at home still, even at that point.
Yep.
So that's kind of the background a little bit about where life, for everybody, life was stressed. And then for us, we didn't know much about step family life, even though we had been in it for a year. We didn't really know what we were doing and how to make that work. And so amidst all of that stress, there was a lot of arguing, and not just a lot, but very frequently those arguments happened, and they got very heated, those arguments. Not even heated discussions. They were heated arguments. We were literally unable to agree on almost anything.
Yeah. I think we were just learning to just live life separately and not have to keep triggering each other, but we didn't know what triggers were, what our feelings were. We didn't know anything, and we were just trying to live every day to get through the day. That's where we were at.
So you were kind of in survival mode.
Oh, yes.
Quick, one other thing, that we were still trying to live our step family life as a first family perspective. And it kind of goes with what Jenny said. We were kind of encamped in our different biological families in some ways because of the stress and because not knowing how to deal with it. And I'll stay with mine and you stay with yours and we'll get through it. Well, we didn't know how we were going to get through it, but we were just trying the best we could at the time. And it was not going so well.
Yeah. So when you say living that first family life, really was, like Jenny said, kind of living lives separately, but under one roof. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And what was your connection like as a couple at that point? You said you were arguing, but did you feel disconnected?
Yeah, I felt pretty disconnected, and I was kind of sad. Like the honeymoon phase ended so much earlier than I expected it. Yeah. And so now in survival mode and trying to understand my feelings, and I was super disconnected from him because I didn't know how to connect back to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's a hard process.
Yeah, grieving the fact that we don't get a honeymoon phase in blended family life is really common, but it's a hard reality to face. And I imagine with the sheer number of kids that you guys have, that I wonder if there's a direct correlation between the number of kids and the shortened length of the honeymoon phase.
Well, how many teenagers are living in the home? I mean, that alone is just crazy.
At that point, there was 5.
That just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So it was a lot.
Yeah. You guys are awesome.
Yes.
That's all I had.
I do need to mention that Wes and Jenny, I often refer to them as star students because we've been working with them now for 6 months and they are in it.
Yeah. In it to win it. That's right.
Yeah. They're so dedicated that they show up to our Zoom meetings in their minivan.
Yeah. No, it's not a minivan. It's a
cargo van. So they can get the privacy they need.
Nothing mini about that, right, Wes?
No.
You guys don't stop you. You make this a priority. And so that's why you're the star students.
Absolutely.
We just thought we were the students because we were the ones you starred our names next to so that you could concentrate more on us.
You're feeling like you need a little extra help.
How did you know?
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
So you're a year in, you decide that you're going to reach out for some help. You find that you're in this cycle of kind of living separately in your biological camps, even though you're under one roof. And you're arguing and you're saying this is a bit more explosive than just disagreements, right?
Correct.
And that's when you say, okay, we're gonna reach out for some help. So tell us a little bit about, we've walked through the last 6 months with you, but we'd love to hear from your perspective. What has this process and the coaching experience been like for you?
For me, it's helped me understand myself and to be able to connect my past with my present and understand some of my feelings and emotions and how to control them correctly so I can be able to stay connected in not an argument, but in a conversation and be able to, both of us can be able to control it correctly, that we are able to get our information across and to be able to come to an answer and a conclusion where before we couldn't figure that out. And it was good to know where I was before and how I feel today, understanding myself and my relationship better.
That's awesome. Jenny, if you could describe what you were feeling 7-8 months ago, just in a few words, how would you describe that? Discouragement,
sadness, almost not depression, but more like just discouraged and sad.
Yeah. So what are you feeling now?
Hopeful, encouraged, energetic, and understanded.
Wow, energetic. Wow, nice. That's awesome.
Energetic and understood.
Hopeful, yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. How about for you, Wes? So say a little bit about what this is like for you.
So it's a lot of the same experience that Jenny had. She said it a lot more eloquently than I probably could. But one other thing, just to reiterate the fact of, in the beginning, the help to understand how our past influenced the way we were acting towards each other at that moment. The past as far as, or my childhood, my previous marriage, my relationship with my parents, and different things like that, and how all of that contributed to the way I was acting and treating Jenny and treating my kids and myself, but mainly our marriage. And then being able to learn through that process how to take those negative things and the lies that I've been telling myself that made them negative and turn them into things that were positives based off of the truths that I understood or could understand, and what I learned about myself that I had been negating with lies and things like that. And so after learning those truths, changed how I was able to act and treat others, especially Jenny.
Yeah. Wow. That's really powerful, Wes. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Jenny, how would you describe how Wes treats you now versus 7 or 8 months ago?
Oh, wow. Okay. So 7 to 8 months ago, I think he just wanted to get his point across and wasn't listening and would just express it out and very angrily and upset. And now he thinks it through and calmly tries to find what emotion he's feeling so he can be able to express it without having to resort back to upset and anger.
Wow, that's awesome. You said a few minutes ago that one of the new feelings you have now is you feel understood. So maybe before you were feeling unheard and now you're feeling heard. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I feel that before he wasn't listening and hearing me. And now I feel that we both can be able to communicate correctly because he is understanding me and I am understanding him.
Wow. That's cool. How about the other way? Wes, what do you notice in the way that how Jenny shows up differently?
I think the biggest difference, the way she shows up now, is communication in a way that's very assertive and easy for me to know how she exactly feels so that I'm not guessing. I think a lot 6-7 months ago, I was trying to guess the way she felt and she was trying to please me in some ways. And so I didn't really know exactly how she felt and I would take things wrong. But now she's able to communicate clearly the way she feels, which makes it easier for me to understand. And then we're able to have a conversation about that and reach a better agreement most of the time. Sometimes we see things differently, but when we communicate assertively, or when she does, I'm better able to understand, and we're able to reach a conclusion that we both agree on, and we're more united in that way.
Yeah, that's great. So what you're saying is that you're no longer having to read each other's minds.
Yes.
Isn't that nice?
That's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love it when we reach that point.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we're still working toward that a bit.
We're still not perfect. We're in perfect progress here.
Imperfect progress.
Yay. Yes.
That's our motto that we've adopted from you guys.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about what things are like now in your relationship. Like, what is the connection like? What's different now? And why do you think things are so different?
I communicate better with him. I think more ahead of time of what I need to say to him and what's important to him to have heard. I would just go through my daily life and not think of him and just do my things. And now I'm trying to stop, communicate, and work on that. I'm not great at it yet, but I'm working better at communicating with him and be able to stay connected and upfront at all times instead of trying to lag behind and disconnect.
Right. And has that helped to build your intimacy and your kind of knowing of each other?
Yes, I feel that by connecting through the way we do now, I feel more in love with him in a way that I can express it better without feeling I'm holding it back because I was hurt. So the hurt has been removed and I'm able to open up more.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I mean, simply figuring out a new way to communicate with each other has impacted the feeling of being in love with Wes. That's super powerful.
Because it brings down that barrier of disconnection. So amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. So how about you, Wes? How would you describe what's different now and why do you think it's different?
I think that communication, like Jenny said, is one of the biggest things. And then the way that again manifests itself is that we value each other, I think, more, or I value more her opinion and her point of view because she is more assertive in the way she says that. And I'm able to understand that. We are people of faith. And even though we've been people of faith our entire lives, I think also we've involved God more in our relationship, which has helped bring us closer together also.
Yeah. So finding unity in your spiritual journey has been a part of this whole process as well. That's awesome.
That is.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. Okay. So a lot of the transformation that you guys just described sounds like it's tied primarily to communication between the two of you. Am I hearing that right?
Yes.
So I'm wondering, when you guys first signed up with us, we're blended family coaches and we teach a lot of different aspects of blended family life. But the first 2.5 months that we spent with you was just focused on your communication and the way that you guys connected and then establishing what we call a code of conduct in your home, right?
Yes.
Did that kind of catch you off guard? Because it's almost halfway through the program and we haven't even gotten to the nuts and bolts of blended family life yet. What was that like for you guys?
For me, I think, and even talking with Jenny, I think we understood that our relationship needed to be the priority and needed to be strong before we could be strong for our kids. And so it came naturally to me, and I think to both of us, but I'll let Jenny speak for herself. But for me, it definitely came naturally because I knew that needed to happen before we could show up well for our kids.
Yeah.
We're so excited to let you know about something brand new we've created just for you.
We've realized that with so many episodes available here on the show, it might feel a bit overwhelming to find the topics that matter most to you. That's why we've created a simple tool for you to receive a personalized playlist focused on your current struggle or your biggest challenge.
That's right. It's called the Blended Family Breakthrough Quiz. You'll answer just a few questions, and based on your responses, we'll email you a curated custom playlist of episodes that are specific to you.
This simple quiz will direct you to the most impactful episodes that pertain to you personally and keep you on track in your journey of discovery, learning, and growth. So scroll all the way to the bottom of the show notes for this episode and click the link to take the Blended Family Breakthrough Quiz today.
Okay, let's get back to the discussion.
I think that, yes, it was natural to learn that, but I think because I was the stay-at-home mom with all the kids during COVID and in homeschool, I think I was more impatient and wanting it to come faster for the blended family side. But the more we got into learning communication and more about how Wes and I can communicate and connect better, the less I was impatient for that to happen.
Okay. So at first you're like, come on, Mike and Kim, let's get going, right?
Yeah.
And then after a while, you start to realize, oh, we're building a foundation here. And, you know, as we talk about marriage throughout this month of February, that's the foundation of the home. Like if the couple relationship is struggling, all the relationships generally will struggle in the home. And so that first focus is really on getting you guys communicating well, problem solving well, and then united around the foundation, that code of conduct for your home. And so, yeah, it sounds like that worked for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good plan. I liked it. And like I said, I got less impatient and enjoyed it. I enjoyed it all, but I enjoyed it more when I let them go.
That's awesome, Jenny.
Yeah, you learned some great tools for communication and also for problem solving. But I had another question for you guys. If you could imagine, if you hadn't reached out, if you hadn't invested in your marriage by engaging in coaching and doing the work, where do you think that you'd be as a couple? Where would you have ended up?
I think that we would have ended up, I don't know if we would have ended up apart, but I think that we would have still kept on our parallel paths without connecting them. And I think the parallel paths may have gone further apart than they should be and needed to be. But I think we wouldn't have, I don't think we would have separated or anything, because I think we would have thought, hey, we just got into this. We need to keep trying and keep trying to find a way that we didn't know. And we keep spinning our circles, but not together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you feel like you might have survived it, but thriving is a totally different thing.
Yes. Yeah, but a continual survival to the last one left.
Yeah. Just gritting your teeth and holding on for dear life. Huh?
Yeah.
What would you add to that, Wes?
You know, I think we still would have been fighting a lot. We still would have been mostly miserable. One of the things, the thoughts that came to my mind was confused, just because we didn't know how to act. And so I think we would have been confused with just the life and why it's not working when we're trying so hard and we're doing what we think we know is right. And so I think we would have still been very confused on why it's not working out. One time I had a conversation with a friend, and one of the things that came out at the end of that was kind of an aha moment for me was that we are in this coaching and we sought this out. And as we progressed through strengthening our marriage, it became clear to me that we were doing this so that we could like each other at the end of this. And when the kids are gone, it would just be us. And we want to be able to still have each other at the end of that and know each other and want to be with each other at the end of it, and not just go with our separate ways with our separate biological families.
Wow. So, I mean, I know that over these months, you have invested time, you've invested energy, you've invested emotionally, you've invested financially. And it sounds like the vision you have right now is, you know, not only have you invested in that for your family, but you've invested in that even for when those empty nest years comes and you guys just get to enjoy each other. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, yeah. I want to be able to have those when we become empty nesters to be fun and enjoyable and not start to learn my relationship at that point. So we're already ahead.
Yeah, you're way ahead. That's awesome.
It's all going to pay off.
Yeah.
It really is.
So at this point, then you guys are just conflict and pain free. Is that right?
That's the imperfect progress we're working on.
Okay, so I may have missed the mark on that comment.
It would be unrealistic to think that you're never going to have issues. But what we hope that we've helped you do is learn how to work through and resolve conflict well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you're better prepared to resolve conflict?
I definitely think so. It's still a daily chapter working on this. And so it's not something that's, like you said, conflict free, but because conflict is there and we have the tools to handle conflict, we're able to work together and get through it. And at the end of it, not be mad at each other. We're able to feel more connected and united at the end.
Yay. That's our hope for you guys. That's what we want for you.
Yeah. We can't change your circumstances. We can't solve all your problems for you, but we work really hard to help you learn how to connect in your problems and work together as a team so that you are united by the time you come out the other side. And so it sounds like you guys have learned that, and you're going to be able to use some of those skills to keep moving forward.
We will. And that's what the joy of it is we are very hopeful for the future because of the things that we've learned and managing those conflicts as they come. And it does unite us more now than it did. It divided us before. Coming at the end of the coaching period, we're now, like I said, more united as we meet those conflicts. So.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, we're all about celebrating the wins, and we are so excited for you guys. And this is a fun episode because we get to celebrate with you.
That's right.
And we're just thrilled for you guys. And it's just amazing to see what we can accomplish with a little bit of work and some time. I mean, 6 months is really not that long of an investment of focusing on your marriage for the rest of your lives. So we're really proud of you.
Yeah. We're excited also because, we're about to celebrate 20 years of marriage, and we're staring empty nest right in the face. And we're so blessed to be where we are as a couple right now. And so now we're catching a vision for that blessing that you guys are going to experience when that time comes for you. And we're so grateful that you've trusted us and allowed us to be a part of your journey. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm grateful that you're able to give us tools through the 6 months that we get to keep those with us that we've learned from you and continue to work on them together with each other.
Yeah, we just are so grateful for finding you guys in our lives. And, I still don't even know how we got to that point to find you, but we did. And so we feel so blessed to have been able to found you guys and to have been able to have you guys right there along our side every step of the way, that you're willing to do emergency phone calls or emergency Zoom meetings to make sure that you guys were there for us. And we appreciated every single one of those. And we just don't know how to express that gratitude enough. And we hope that we will be able to someday help other people that are going through this in the middle of it. So,
yeah. Well, keep investing and keep using the tools. And that's all you need to do. Really.
Yep. Keep on with the imperfect progress, because imperfect progress is progress. And you do enough of it, and pretty soon it's like, whoa, well, look how far we've come. Imperfect progress got us a long way. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. So if someone's listening right now who has been inspired by your story and they're thinking, we're stuck and we're not quite sure what to do, what would you say to that person right now?
Reach out. That's the hardest part, really. And throughout my life in general, that's the hardest part, is to either make that phone call to a friend and say, hey, I'm having a rough day, need your help. Because sometimes we just want to stay in that and have our own little pity party and stay in the mud. And it's just easier that way. It's hard to tell somebody that you're struggling. And so to be able to admit that's kind of the first step of getting that help, is just admit that, hey, I'm not able to do this on my own. And so I'm struggling and I need help. And so if you can just get past that first little phase of not wanting to do that, just say, hey, I'm not perfect and I need some help. And then that'll get you to that next step of making that phone call. And then that leads to another little step that leads to another one. And eventually you're there with, in the middle of getting help. And that's the way you get there.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Well said, Wes. Thank you. If you are listening right now and you're feeling that and you're going, yeah, man, I just need to reach out and make the phone call. What we ask is that whoever you decide to reach out to, make sure that they've got experience in blended family life, because blended family life is simply different than first family life. And so you want to make sure that you're getting help from someone who understands those complicated dynamics. If you happen to want to reach out to us, we'd be happy to do that. We'll leave a link in the show notes where you can schedule a free consult, and we'd be happy to connect with you. Well, Wes and Jenny, we are so proud of you. As Kim said, we're star students, and not just because we're starring like extra help, but you guys have done the work.
You were in it.
And you continue to do the work. And I feel so confident that you guys are going to hit that empty nest season and have such a delightful blessing to experience together. And so we're really proud of you. You've done a great job. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with other people. I'm sure it's going to make an impact.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I want to thank you, and I hope this podcast itself can help provide information to anybody, because it was a game changer for us. It really was.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, you're off and running with your full toolbox.
Go celebrate your wins.
That's right. Yeah. Great job, guys. Thanks again for coming on the show. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. Let's just take a minute as we wrap up this episode to unpack a couple of things that were shared today.
Absolutely. I love the comment that I think Wes made, that they started out their marriage on parallel paths and they were really struggling to figure out how to come together as a couple to close that biological gap going on in their home. And I think Wes called it being encamped in their biological families. You know, I'll stay in mine, you stay in yours.
Yeah.
And the words that Wes and Jenny used to describe where they were at emotionally at that point are words that I think probably all of us can relate to, right? Jenny said she felt discouraged, sad, and unheard. Wes mentioned how they were confused and mostly miserable.
Mostly miserable, I know.
And there was a lot of heated fights, and they both felt really disconnected. And I definitely remember feeling all of those things at points in our journey. And these were times when I felt like we were just stuck.
Yeah.
I can also relate to what Wes and Jenny both shared about how they benefited from understanding themselves more, and how they can now connect their past to their present and have stopped believing the lies. I mean, this is huge. And when we kind of get trapped in our own head and we take on those false beliefs and misunderstandings, it can create all kinds of communication problems for blended family couples. And we certainly struggled with this until we discovered some effective communication tools, huh, honey?
Absolutely, yeah. And the good news about that is that communication has tools, and it is a skill that everyone can improve and learn on. It's not just I'm a bad communicator or I'm a good communicator. No. We can actually grow in that area. And that's actually how we became better communicators, because we really worked at it. We definitely didn't have great skills and tools at first, and probably really almost the first 10 years of our marriage. But to change that, we did really kind of what Wes and Jenny did. We reached out for help. We chose to find some trusted people to teach us how to move beyond those old patterns of getting really angry. I would get really angry, and then you would shut down and withdraw, and around we would go. And, through a bit of time and some intentional work, we made imperfect progress. We also learned from a lot of other sources. We read books, we listened to expert speakers, we took trainings, we went to marriage retreats, we met with mentors, we had great counselors too. And all of those valuable resources really helped us to understand ourselves better and showed us how to move away from those unproductive, hurtful patterns of communication and engage in better ways of responding to the painful conflict that we were struggling with. And we started learning how to communicate in ways that actually brought us closer in our relationship, instead of enduring that disconnection that we've been stuck in for so long.
Yeah, we really were stuck there. We love the way John Gottman puts it. The most successful marriages aren't void of conflict. They've learned how to work through and resolve conflict well. We've spent a lot of time and energy investing in our marriage, and especially around how we approach our differences, how we work as a team and communicate. And if we were to answer that question that we asked Wes and Jenny of where would we be if we hadn't reached out for help?
Oh my goodness.
I honestly don't think that we would have made it. You know, how would you answer that question, honey?
Well, I would say, I'm really glad that Gottman has found out that the most successful marriages aren't void of conflict, because we still have conflict. It still exists. But because we've learned how to do conflict well, now I just feel a deeper sense of peace and satisfaction and gratitude for the marriage that we do have.
Yeah.
And if we hadn't done that work, there's no doubt in my mind that we would have divorced.
Yeah.
And
I
so
agree.
I'm really grateful. Thanks for doing the work with me, honey.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for motivating me to do the work, I'll say.
I guess we both had to play our part, we love to share what we've been learning over these years, and we'd love to share that with you. And just like Wes and Jenny's story revealed, you can transform how you communicate and work through your blended family challenges when you're willing to make the investment. And we believe that everyone can get there when they're willing to make that investment.
If we can do it, so can you.
Absolutely.
And, maybe you aren't ready to engage in coaching at this time, but you'd like to continue learning and investing in your relationship to understand more about assertive communication, like Wes and Jenny talked about, so that you can clearly communicate. You don't have to be a mind reader anymore, right?
I stink at mind reading.
Or maybe how to change the stories in your head and build more connection with your spouse. Or maybe even how to invite your spouse to get help with you if you're feeling like you're ready, but your partner isn't yet.
Yeah, we've talked about all that stuff on the show, right?
Yeah. So we've put a few links in the show notes to some episodes that might help you to take some next steps in these areas and continue to invest in your marriage. So you might want to go check those out.
Yeah, or maybe you are ready to take that next step that Wes talked about at the end there, to reach out for some focused, individualized support. We'll also put a link in the show notes for you to schedule a free coaching call with us, and we'd be happy to explore if coaching is a good fit for you, or what some possible next steps might look like for you.
Yes.
Wow, what a great month of talking about marriage.
It's been fun.
So excited. Thank you once again to Wes and Jenny for joining us on the show. We so appreciate you guys. And we're really proud of the work that you guys have done. And next week, we'll start out on a new topic. But for now, that makes this episode a wrap.
Until next time.